Hello, buddy. All right, so today is Monday, October 7th, 2024. Welcome to the Mikestand, everybody. Um, of course, as some of you out there may know already, today is my birthday. I turned 49 today, along with, of course, professional wrestler Rhino, Terry Gurin. Um, I know Tony Braxton also was born on this date back in 1967. She turns 57 today. Talk about a couple others later on. But with that, um, as always, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. All that being said, we're just going to wait a few minutes, give people a chance to pop in. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. Maybe some of you saw me on Devil Flyer Momentum earlier, Rex Christian's show. So I just given it a few minutes before we get started. Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to the finish when I eat my spinach. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Oh, wait, what? I'm strong to the finish when I eat my spinach. Popeye the Sailor Man. Popeye the Sailor Man, toot toot. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to the finish when I eat my spinach. Popeye the Sailor Man. As we all. Hey, Rick. And you live in a garbage can? No, just kidding. Of course not. Does this look like a garbage can to you, Rick? All right. Well, let's see. So yeah, we're just about a 3 minute mark. So I get a more like 3.5 minutes. So let me talk about what's on tap for tonight. So I do have one article I'm bounding into comments I'm going to go to that I'm going to go over. So apparently down in South Carolina, there's a public school library has decided to ban the Japanese manga assassination classroom. Following a parent complaint that we're giving them too much adult material that they can't handle, apparently. So we will go ahead and take a look at that and give commentary on that. Also, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap up in this day in each history. So with that, since we do have some people here, I might as well go ahead and get started then. So let me pull up the article, then we'll get right into this. And again, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help me out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions, and we'll try to answer the questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With all that being said, let's get into this. So, Assassination Classroom manga pulled from South Carolina high school, submitted for content review following parent complaint. Quote, we're giving them too much adult material than they're brains can handle, unquote. In this, if we're talking about high school here, I don't really think. I think it depends upon, like, I think like 16 and up can probably handle a lot of what goes on in, um, well, maybe even as young as 15 and up. So there is joke version of the Popeye song where it says, "Oh yeah, I've heard that before." Rick. All right. So, anyways, well, let's get So, article by Spencer McCooley, published back on October 4th, which is this past Friday, of course. So there's the teacher, that big yellow blob thing. I haven't read the manga, but I've watched the anime, and I do believe that 16 and up, definitely 16 and up can handle the material in it. 15 could probably handle it as well. Maybe 14 under, maybe not. But anyway, let's see what they have to say about it. Let's see where all this is coming from. So, for the second time in as many years, Yusei Matsui's assassination classroom has come under fire from American parents. Yeah. Now, granted, the whole idea, and I think part of the problem here with the assassination classroom too, the whole issue of kids being trained to assassinate their teacher probably hits a little too close to home for some people, with some of the rash of school shootings that have happened, unfortunately. Um, Albeit there's a legit plot behind the whole thing in it. Anybody who's seen the anime or read the manga probably knows what it's truly about here, and some of the other Class 3E. Okay, so it's run in Shueisha's weekly Shonen Jump, lasting from July 2012 to March 2016. Matsui's best-selling manga follows the students of Kunugigaoka High School, or junior high, classes 3. So this is even a junior high. Their ranks consisting entirely of various misfits, punks, and other various troublemakers, as they train under the orders of the Japanese government to prevent the Earth from being destroyed. The threat? Their teacher, Koro Sensei, a yellow-covered tentacled alien who has practically conquered Earth. Yeah, so that's the threat, people. And the idea is they're being trained to assassinate him in order to save the Earth. All right, so threatening to destroy the planet in 1 year's time, the alien offers to train Class 3E in the art of assassination in the hopes that before the clock hits zero, they'll be able to use their skills to end his life and net themselves a 10 billion yen bonus in the process. Mm-hmm. Popular in both American and Japan among its intended teenage demographic, Assassination Classroom recently drew the ire of South Carolina mother Jennifer Hannigan, who first discovered the manga after her daughter, a ninth grade. Now, ninth grade is usually it's like 14, 15, I guess. So, and considering this is a manga that the setting is the junior high, um, might be a stretch to think that they maybe can. Checked it out from the campus library of her. of her. Oh, wait a minute. I checked it out from the campus library of her school. Um, so catch the high. See if anybody's. Let's see. Hello, Mike and Elk. Hey, Elk. Mike and Rick. Um, entertaining. Entering grade 9 is normally 14. Yeah, 14 to 15. So assassination is suitable material in schools, but same-sex parents kissing in commercial film shouldn't be. Again, you missed the point, Elk. We're talking. First off, we're talking about two different audiences here. This manga is basically, directed towards junior high to high school, whereas what we were talking about with that was a cartoon being directed that was normally being directed towards young kids. So obviously there's a little difference there that you're, you know, you know, so yes, and before you kind of chip off any more there, let me just point something out to you. In many Japanese manga and anime that's directed towards teen, there are some that do have, you know that do show at least crushes in terms of same sex situations. Though it's not an LGBT thing, it's age appropriate thing. In this case, what they're talking about in Assassination Classroom is age appropriate for the intended audience, junior high to high school. Okay? Whereas in the other case that you're going on about was not. So it wasn't age appropriate. Cartoons are generally for kids, okay? There are some adult animated series that are shown at times when more adults are, but for the audience, that for the intended audience, this situation, yes, it is totally age appropriate. In the other situation that you're getting on about, no, it was not age appropriate. So like 2 a.m. Hey, Carrie, thanks for popping in. Made myself stay awake so I could say hi, happy birthday, and hit the button. Well, thank you, Carrie. If you want to sit back and listen to the conversation, listen to the article a little bit more, I know you probably will try, but anyways, yeah. So anyway, let me just finish up. Let's see. X-Men is not directed at high school. No, it's directed at kids. Therefore, that's why a same-sex kid in that situation was not appropriate. Happy birthday, Mike. Yeah, I saw you, Rick. I saw you say that. Yes, and I did see the picture. I've seen the anime too. And in context, a junior high and high schooler would understand the context if they read the manga and or watch the anime. Okay. I saw the picture, yes. You know, I know there's a little bit more sensitivity here in America because of the school shootings and stuff like that, but anybody who's read the manga and or watched the anime would get the plot, would understand the plot. It might be a bit of a quirky plot, but they would still understand it. Now, if they were trying to if they were suggesting that that little kid like kids like real young kids like 5, 6, or even anybody, let's say under 13, should anybody maybe under 13 or under 10, should anybody under 10 be reading Assassination Clause? No. Should anybody under 12? Probably not. 13 to 15, and maybe depending upon how fast the kid matures. Above 15, it's age appropriate. Expressing her complaint with the series contents to reporter Ale Espinoza of local news outlet WMBF News, Hannigan asserted, quote, even if I didn't have children, I would not want a child to read this book. Now, again, I know her position is in part, I think the position in America here is coming from the fact that they're school shooters, and what they're actually afraid of is that kids are going to get ideas from this book and go out and try to base a school shooting on this book. But the fact is that Japan, okay, Japanese teenagers read this stuff, and yet you don't see them going up shooting schools. Okay, so quote, I mean, there's girls in lingerie hopping on top of men in the book. Again, directed towards a high school audience that could be considered maybe a little risque. And I know here in America, but within context, I think, because not, jumping on men in lingerie doesn't automatically mean, I get a lot of people would think that, does not automatically mean something sexual. Again, you have to look at the context of what's being read and said there. She continued, quote, in the book, they'll have several chapters that are telling you a killing is in the title of some nature. Hannigan added, quote, there's also pages where there's handguns, rifles, knives, and potions, and it talks about killing in the pages. Yes, that's true. And again, this also goes against the whole, we got to take everybody's guns away, because if somebody was really determined to kill people, they'd find a way. They could do it with a lot of things, so that's not going to solve the problem of school shootings. And neither is censoring this book for a high school audience. Quote, it's just the whole thing, unquote, she told, and there's a spelling mistake, Espinoza. Quote, they're talking about the operative on how they're going to kill this teacher and different ways to kill the teacher. Again, in proper context, teenagers and even junior high kids can understand the context when given the proper context. What do you think? Would a Christian approve of this manga, including assassinating teachers? Probably not. Probably not. Most Christians probably wouldn't approve of something like this. But again, within the proper context, they're not like just the context is this teacher. First off, this teacher is wanting to be assassinated. Okay, he's wanting the kids to kill him because he's a dangerous creature who was created in a lab. You know, this would go against Christian ideology, but within proper context, a high schooler, could definitely understand the context. As for junior high, as for maybe the 13 to 15 realm, that we want to call that junior high right there, that might be a bit of a stretch. I'll acknowledge that. So I've been paying attention, and I don't know enough about the manga. Well, I've watched the anime myself. That's why I can talk more about it. I haven't read the manga myself either, but I've seen the anime. The anime was actually featured on Adult Swim, in fact. So cable channel that a lot of teenagers would have had access to. Quote, "We allow our children into an adult world too soon," unquote. Now, that is one I kind of do agree on a little bit. But again, in this particular case, the material, I think, is still age appropriate for high school. So she concluded, quote, we're giving them too much adult material than their brains can handle, and I think that's a problem, unquote. As of writing, the Horry County School District has confirmed that in response to Hannigan's complaints, all copies of Assassination Classroom have been, per WMBF, temporarily removed, quote unquote, pending a review of its contents by district officials. So basically, what they're doing is they took the book down. They want to look at it themselves. They want to go through it. I would think that once the district officials, had a chance to read through it, they might find that for a high school student, it would be considered age appropriate. They would understand the underlying concepts of it. It's not stretching the content barrier for them. Notably, WMBF's report did not specify if the series had been removed from all schools' libraries within the Horry County District or just the one belonging to Sokasti High. As noted above, this is not the first time Matsui's manga has found itself in the crosshairs of American parents. Now, again, this goes back to the idea that I think there's just a lot more sensitivity to this fact because of the school shooting situation here in the state. But I would counter that there have been there have been a lot of Japanese teenagers who've read this manga too, and yet you don't see the same spike in school shootings or even attempts at killing teachers. In 2019, a concerned mother of a student at Markham Intermediate School in Staten Island, New York. So intermediate, that's again kind of middle school. For middle school, which is, I believe, like 11 to 13, 11, maybe 12 to 14. It might be, Assassination Classroom might be a little too mature for that group. for middle school audience. Complained about the series' references to classroom violence, which in turn resulted in the manga being pulled from the library's shelves. Quote, my biggest thing was is it should have never been in that library, and I would love to know how it got there and who thought it was a good idea to do that, unquote, the mother who wished to remain anonymous claimed to. Now, in that particular case, I would have to kind of agree with her. Again, in that intermediate school is just another way for saying like middle school or junior high, middle school, which for that age group, Assassination Classroom might be a little too mature for that group. Yeah, but not all high schoolers are mentally ill. That's all right. Welcome to, we're having a pretty good talk about Assassination Classroom and whether or not it's what age is it appropriate to put into school libraries if it's high school, junior high, or what have you. Then in April 2023, conservative activist group Citizens Defending Freedom challenged the inclusion of the series in school libraries due to what they described as its, quote, violent and sexually explicit content. Again, not as, okay, Assassination Classroom doesn't have as much sexually explicit content. As for the violence part, first off, there are some good points in that. First off, it is teaching, in within the context of the story, they are being taught, gun safety and gun responsibility, even though in the guise of protecting the world from basically a teacher who is considered a threat to the entire world. Quote, this is a nonpartisan issue. Citizens Defending Freedom's National Communications Director, Kristen Huber, told Fox 13 Tampa Bay, quote, we should all be able to agree that violence towards teachers and explicit sexual content is not something that schools should be glorifying or promoting, especially on taxpayer dollars. Well, at least from the wording, yeah, but within, and again, there isn't as much explicit sexual content than these people, um, really think there. And the whole violence towards teachers, it's not violence towards teachers as a general rule. It's more like, again, one teacher who, again, is theoretically who is a threat to the entire world. A few days later, members of the conservative parent group Moms for Liberty campaigned to have the series pulled from the schools in Hillsborough County Public School District in Florida due to the then recent Covenant School shooting. again, a lot of it again here in America, a lot of this censorship is being driven more by the fact that people are thinking that you know high schoolers are going to basically be influenced by this book. And I would argue that I don't believe they are. You've had high schoolers over in Japan who've read this same book, and you don't hear about any school shootings over there. All high schools include mentally ill students. All school libraries are available to them. Yeah, and but if there is a mentally ill, okay, if there is quote unquote a mentally ill student, usually they have staff with them that can help them. Um, Usually there are situations where states can monitor that a little bit more carefully. And first off, if they would have, in other words, the schools and the parents would have a better idea of if um, well, dot. I don't have you. I don't know if you've read. Have you read Assassination Classroom manga or watched the anime? That's probably Kristen Hubbard's opinion is that it's too much violent content. Um, well, that's her opinion. She's entitled to it, but again, you have other countries. You've had other you know countries that have had their teen. And we're of course, I'm differentiating because even I would argue that there's a certain age. Like as I said, 16 to 18, they can handle the content of. They can overall handle the content of Assassination Classroom. So it shouldn't be removed or banned, in my opinion, from high school libraries. Now, junior high, maybe yet, or maybe it's something that maybe should be monitored a little bit more with a junior high audience or younger. Definitely not an elementary school. Um, Not something elementary school readers should be reading. Unfamiliar with anime and manga, think it's all erotica material due to body. Yeah, Comdot, you make a very good point there. People who maybe haven't watched enough anime or read enough manga, they just tend to think, without looking at the context of the story itself, they just assume that it's Japan and Canada have a fraction of American violence. Um, these women have the opinions these mangas are inappropriate for Americans. Yeah, and they have their opinions, and other people have other opinions. But it's still, again, we still have the First Amendment. And now, if they feel that the material is inappropriate for their children, then yes, they have every right to say, something, daughter, son of mine, yeah, I don't think you should be reading this. But to sit there and try to tell another parent that they should also, or tell a school district, hey, look, you shouldn't let the kids read this, especially if you're trying to tell another parent that. Now, there are other parents that agree with them, fine, but still comes down to parents' rights ultimately. Um, you know, um, But like in both cases, the material was already, yeah. Well, that's what they even said in the article there. They have already succeeded. Well, temporarily in the one case, it was a temporary removal. And again, there's a difference between the two situations. In the one situation, in the one in high school, it was temporarily removed to review the material. Do I personally believe that a high school audience cannot handle the content? No, I don't. I think 16 to 18 can handle the content fine. 15, maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but 15 and under, under 16, you have to look at each of the situations. Do I think that there are so many mentally ill kids out there that if we flood, school libraries with this book, that we're going to start having a mass school shooting, happen? No. Okay. Now, again, a lot of this is also fueled by the fact of the heightened feelings over the school shootings, and anything that is perceived as being influencing that, they're going to want to take a harder look at. Quote, it's stating the obvious to say that the theme of this book series is disturbing in the light of the prevalence of school violence, Moms for Liberty. And again, I agree with that statement. For school in the wake of school shootings, but again, you only have America where that's happening. You don't have schools like Japan, which is where the material originates from. They probably have a lot of high schoolers who have read Assassination Classroom, the manga, or watch the anime, and yet again, you haven't heard a lot of school shootings happening in Japan. So I mean, and I'm just arguing the points here. I'm not necessarily trying to change people's minds here. I'm just arguing the counterpoints here. Okay. The Florida Standard, quote, while the books have fictitious characters, the settings are realistic. Yeah. So basically, in all that though, the idea that the complaint came from a high school parent, that's where I would differentiate. In this case, it would is assassination, whether or not do I believe Assassination Classroom would be considered age appropriate for a high school library. Yeah, I don't see there being an issue there. So yeah, I feel that high school readers, 16, senior high school readers, 16 to 18, could generally handle the content of the material. Okay. Under 16, then yeah, I would probably be a little more wary. You have to look at the target age group in a lot of this stuff. Okay. So let's see. That is not the question. The question is, should tax dollars finance purchase of this assassination manga? Well, okay, if we're gonna argue that, then okay, then just take every book out. Just take every book out then, if you're gonna go with that argument. there's also other cultural influences here. And you also, I mean, if you don't think that, then is it really right to have taxpayers, is it really you know, should taxpayer money be even putting books in school libraries in the first place? You know, because if the kids find out about it, they're gonna read it. You know, even if you were to take the books out of the school library, right? Even if you were to take the books out of the school library, they'll probably have some friends who might have it, and um, and they still might end up reading it, you know. But should it be in a high school library? Again, don't see an issue with it being in a high school library. You know, I mean, should any book really be in a high school library? Or, basically, you know, um, so, I'm in the age range that can handle the content. Also, why ban the material when they seen worse on the computer? Good point there, Comdot. Um, Good point there. Again, going back to my other point there. One back to the point I just made. Right? They'll find out about it. Even if you were to take it out of the high school libraries. Okay. You could argue that it's also a bit of the idea of diversity and all that. Um, by that argument, Comdat School Library should include porn because worse porn is available on computers. Should tax dollars be used to buy assassination books in libraries versus other books that could be bought? Well, maybe taxpayer dollars shouldn't be spent to buy any books. If you're going to use that argument, Elk, you might as well just ban all books then. Um, so take out To Kill a Mockingbird and who has seen the wind. Hmm. Well, To Kill a Mockingbird is actually considered a classic. Happy birthday! Well, thank you. Good night, Spoon. Hi, Elk. Mike is pro teacher assassination erotica in high schools. No, I'm not, Elk. Um, because I understand realistically. I've seen the anime. Okay, it's not saying that you should go. It's the anime and the manga is not saying you should go out and kill teachers. Okay, there's a specific plot involved there that most reasonably intelligent people could understand, including 16 to 18-year-olds. Okay, it's not just oh you're a whack job. Your teacher gave you a bad grade, so I'm gonna go shoot up a school. That's not what Assassination Classroom's about. There's a specific plot involved that most people 16 and up could understand. So, you know, hey, good night, Spoon. Sentiments. That's right. Okay. what's the issue here, Phil? Okay, so we went over Phantom Ants here. We went over, and I read through an article from Bounding into Comics about a South Carolina high school that decided to temporarily remove and review a book that had been placed on their high school. Yeah. All right. Yeah, the signal, I guess, is being a little tricky right now. Um, but anyways, all right, I'm going. Yeah, so I'm just giving it a sec here. All right. Okay. So now. Okay. So, anyways, what I was talking about here. So I went over an article talking about a South Carolina high school that decided to um, that decided to temporarily remove um, Assassination Classroom from there and review it. Assassination Classroom from their school. This is a high school library, mind you, and it's only been the one uh, book. So, there were some parents who felt that there was too much sex and violence for a high school audience. I was just simply arguing that that's not the case. Um, Elk was kind of giving the counterpoint, uh, partially because he's got some personal bias on another issue, um, but within the context of the story, I personally believe that high schoolers would handle it. Could be able to handle the content of Assassination Classroom. I have also made the argument that it might not be completely appropriate for under 16 or middle school and below. So, um, let me get caught up. Hi, Phantom. Um, Plot is key. Where does it say in big writing? Do this at home. We lost. Yeah, well, my signal was for what some reason going out there. Good night, Spoon. That's why I was kind of having some problems there. I was noticing it on, but I'm hoping now that we, yeah. Well, I'm back on now, so rip. The world is over. Tomorrow is Agatha Day, but I can never get it until Wednesday, anyways. Let's see now. Good night. So yeah, so obviously this article had. Let's see, I'm going over my surrealist tarot deck. Marvel. Okay. All right. So I haven't read that. The students are supposed to kill each other. Um, or is that? I don't know about dog and rope. Assassination Classroom is essentially about um, a basically yellow And there it goes again. All right, sorry about that. Something's just going goofy with my computer here for some reason. But anyways, let me get through some of the other comments here. Assassination Classroom was basically about basically the idea was the kids were being trained to kill their teacher because their teacher threatened to blow up the world unless it got a chance to teach them. So that was kind of the whole premise behind it. Let's see now. Yes, Gamma Marina. Mike is Mike is there and back. Yep. I don't know why, but I don't know why the signal was acting up there, but oh man. Well, I'm back now, so hopefully we can get through the rest of the show here. Yeah, well, I don't either. You know, okay. All right. So anyways, so we're done with that article. And we had quite a good conversation about it, quite honestly. I like the back and forth there that we were having. But with that, and I thank everybody for being here. We're going to now move on to the wrestling wrap up here. Uh, um, we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up, what's happened over the weekend, and also what's coming up tonight on Raw, obviously, as as I think many of you probably know. Um, as many of you know, WWE had Bad Blood the other night on Saturday, so we're gonna look back to that, look back to Collision as well, and kind of preview what's gonna happen on um, on Raw tonight. So, anyways, let's go back to Saturday here. Okay, so this past Saturday night, WWE held its Bad Blood pay-per-view from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. The night opened up with a steel cage match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, in which CM Punk um, won the match. The match apparently took its toll on both men, as it's now being reported that Drew McIntyre may be legitimately hurt. You know, they believe he was seriously opened up from the toolbox shot he took from CM Punk. So that might so that so CM Punk won the um, won the Hell in a Cell match. Nia Jax retained the women's title over Bayley. I guess one of the big things that got talked about is in trying to expand her moveset, Nia Jax did a real ugly and horrible Hurricanrana, and they were concerned that her trying to, with her and her size and body frame, trying to do such a move may actually be considered dangerous. Continuing on with Damian Priest defeated Finn Balor, getting some revenge for Finn Balor's interference, costing Priest the World Championship. Rhea Ripley defeated Liv Morgan via disqualification in a match that saw the return of Raquel Rodriguez come in to help Liv Morgan, powerbombing Rhea Ripley. It ended up when as Dominic Mysterio had escaped the shark cage that he was in over the ring. Rhea Ripley, he got stuck, and when Rhea Ripley went after him, the ref called for the bell at that point. But apparently, from what some sources say, ref was not supposed to call that. There was some talk that they were talking about possibly ending this feud, at least for right now. But with the DQ victory, they may have to actually extend the feud. I think they were thinking, from some of the sources, some of the rumors going on, that they were thinking about having a Ripley Rodriguez feud going for a while there. So let's see. And the main event saw Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns defeat the Bloodline duo of Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa, with The Rock coming out after the match to give some kind of signal, I guess, to Roman Reigns. What this supposedly means, nobody knows. And then after that pay-per-view, Cody Rhodes was attacked by Kevin Owens, who in the process turned heel. And we'll probably be hearing more about that on tonight's Monday Night Raw. So, and before we talk about what's planned for tonight's Raw, let's also take a look back at Saturday's Collision as they continue to prepare for this Saturday's pay-per-view, Wrestle Dream, coming out of Seattle. The opening match of Collision saw Darby Allin defeat Johnny TV, in which after the match, Brody King came out to answer Darby's open challenge for Wrestle Dream, attacking him and basically telling him, "Yeah, I'll see you in Seattle." So another match signed so that match got signed over the weekend. The Outrunners evened up the score with the Grizzled Young Veterans in a tag match. Willow Nightingale defeated Trish Adora, She prepared for her upcoming number one contenders match against Dr. Britt Baker on tomorrow night's Title Tuesday. To see who on tomorrow night's Title Tuesday, Will Nightingale takes on Dr. Britt Baker to see who will go on to Wrestle Dream to challenge Mariah May for the AEW World Women's Championship. Wheeler Yuta defeated Beef via submission in just over 2 minutes. In a match that saw former members of the Blackpool Combat Club of John Moxley, Pac, and Marina Shafir come out to scout him, as it were. And then, let's see. Then the conglomeration, the duo of Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly defeated the Premier Athletes duo of Arya Davari and Tony Nese. In a four-way match, Hologram defeated Action Andretti, Commander, and Nick Wayne. Chris Statlander defeated Zoe Lynn in 40 seconds. Then was confronted by Mercedes Moné and Camille after feeling slighted after Statlander passed him during their interview. And then the main event saw number one contenders match for the number one contender three-way match for the AEW World Title number one contendership, which Private Party defeated the House of Black, Top Flight, to get the right to challenge the Young Bucks for the title in at Wrestle Dream this Saturday. Let's see. All right. So anyway, so now let's talk about what's going to go down on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. As on tonight's Raw, of course, basically the fallout from Bad Blood will be happening. Let's take a look at what's going to be going on. Of course, we probably will hear from Kevin Owens as to why he turned on Cody Rhodes and attacked him. So on tonight's show, of course, a good old-fashioned Donnybrook, Sheamus takes on Pete Dunne. Jey Uso defends the Intercontinental title against Xavier Woods, and Gunther will actually defend the World Heavyweight title against Sami Zayn. This was announced over the weekend, so they wouldn't have to add a match to the Bad Blood pay-per-view, to keep it at 5 matches. And we'll probably be hearing more about what happened between Cody and Kevin Owens. So with that being said, let's also now talk, with today being Monday, October 7th, 2024, let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! So, first off, I'd like to wish a happy 80th birthday, to Jill Frappier. For those who may not remember, for those of you who may have watched Sailor Moon, who may have watched the Deep Cloveway English dub of Sailor Moon, Jill Frappier was the one who did the voice of Luna in that. She did, voices in a few other Canadian cartoons as well, and a couple other anime series as well. But happy 80th birthday to British Canadian actress Jill Frappier, who provided the voice of Luna in the Dee Cloveway English dub of Sailor Moon. That was the dub that they did back in the 90s. not to be confused with the current dub. So anyways, getting ready to move on to the next piece of niche history as I'd also like to wish a happy 50th birthday. Somebody who's actually exactly 1 year older than I am. Voice actor Alexander Polinsky, who most fans would probably remember from his time on Charles in Charge as Adam Powell, the youngest son on the show. But aside from that, in the world of cartoons, he's provided the voice of a few characters in recent years, including, of course, Control Freak in the Teen Titans franchise, Argid and Jarrett in the Ben 10 franchise. He also provided the voices of Chameleon Boy and Matter Eater Lad in Legion of Superheroes, and Jimmy Olsen, the Batman, the Brave, and the Bold episode. So happy 50th birthday to Alexander Polinsky, voice actor. So now moving ahead to 1998, which was 26 years ago. On this date, 28 years ago, the fifth and final issue of 300 from Dark Horse went on sale on newsstands on this date 28 years ago, back in 1998. Sold for $395 was 48 pages. The title of the story was Victory, written and drawn by Frank Miller with coloring by Lynn Varley. So on this date, 26 years ago today, the fifth and final issue of 300 from Dark Horse went on sale on this date back in 1998. And finally, on this date 5 years ago, 2019, 5 years ago, in the fallout from the previous night's pay-per-view, I believe it was Hell in a Cell at that point. So following the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event in the Rabobank Arena in Bakersfield, California. The night saw Ricochet defeat Apollo Crews. At the end of the show, the Kabuki Warriors, who had won the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship the night before, Asuka and Kairi Sane defeating Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. A six-man tag match, the OC of AJ Styles and the Good Brothers, and Luke Gallows defeated the Lucha House Party of Kalisto, Grand Metalik, and Lince Dorado. A 2-on-1 handicap match, Aleister Black defeated the Singh Brothers. And the night opened up with Natalya defeating Lacey Evans in the last woman standing match. So, with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I thank everybody for all the birthday wishes. Hope everybody has a good rest of the night. Hopefully, the technical issues we had were just temporary technical issues. Hopefully, we won't have those issues tomorrow. So we'll be back here with more niche news tomorrow. And also, don't forget, this Friday, The Metal will be joining me as my co-host as we look back to comics that went on sale in March 1940. We'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Standard, also known as Better Books and Nador and all that. We'll be looking at, of course, Thrilling Comics, Volume 1, Issue 4, and Exciting Comics, Volume 1, Issue 2. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. And I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.